Hey, are you having trouble pulling in data that's in a many relationship in SQL Server into your Power Apps? Well, I think I got a solution for you. Stay tuned. All right, so I just finished doing a training series called Problem Design Solution here at Pragmatic Works. And one of the solutions that we had, we did a time entry where employees could put in their time to projects. And when I was looking at the structure of the tables, I realized it wasn't really normalized. And normalization around tables, as developers, we see it all the time. So as a Power Apps developer building a Canvas app in this case, if I'm given a database and I need to work with that database, it's already been normalized to handle many relationships. I had to come up with a unique idea on how to handle that. So I went ahead and took that as a little bit of a proof of concept to see how I might do that. So I've got my app here, and you can notice that I'll just go ahead and run this app. This is what we did in our problem design solution series. We built this app. So all this is doing is looking at projects, but there's also a table that's in here that has not been added into the data. So if I click on my data, well, I did add it here, but before, if you do the series, you won't see this table in here. I've added this table as another data table to work with data, because what I want to do is I want to select a project, and then I want to see who has put in time on that project. And then from there, I want to see that person's time records. So let's look at the table. I think it'll make a little bit more sense if we do that. So I've got a couple of tables here. I've got my project table, right? And it just has information about the project. I've also got a project type. All this is really not anything important. It just has a relationship for our projects to show what type of project they actually are. So I've got a foreign key relationship there. And then I've got my project time entry table. Now you're going to notice down at the bottom, I've added a foreign key relationship to an employee. This is not the case in the training. In the training, this has been flattened out, and there's a time entry user column. And this time entry user column holds the email address of the person who has entered time. Now, that's typically not what we'll see when we're working in SQL Server. We will normalize this out. And this project time entry table would be something that we would consider as a composite entity, or back in the day when I was going to school, a gerund, or you might even think of it as maybe a cross-reference table, something that takes two records. I can have many projects, I can have many employees, and they can be putting time, an employee can be putting time to many projects, and a project can have more than one employee working on it. So hence we've got that project time table in there that kind of handles that information. So that we never want a many-to-many relationship when we're doing normalization. So that project time entry just kind of fits hand in hand. So again, if you notice, I've created an employee table here. I've got an employee ID, and then I have added that employee ID to this time entry table. All right, nothing extravagant there. However, when we get to Power Apps, it can be challenging for handling this. When we're working with Dataverse, it's outside of the content of what we're doing for this video here. Dataverse, you can work with Dataverse and use some relate, unrelate functions for handling that. Again, it's out of context for what we're talking about here. But how would we, in this case, how would I show a list of employees that have worked on one of these projects that I've selected? That's our goal. And from there, I want to be able to pull in all the timesheets that employee has. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to our we're going to add in another screen here. So up at the top, I'm going to go ahead and say new screen, and I'll do a blank screen. All right, and I'll just name the screen, this blank screen here, I'm just going to call it screen time entry. All right, so this will hold all of our time entry information. Now this browse gallery, again, this is our projects here. And what I want to do is I want to pull in whatever project is selected. I want to show that. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. I want to bring in a label. So I'm going to show that up at the top. And I'm just going to say, this will be our selected, let's see, just do project. And this will be our selected, so it's our browse gallery 1, selected, and this will be our project name. All right, because up here, if I look at my gallery, I've got that item set to, this is actually doing a sort on our project, okay? All right, and now that we've got that, what I also want to do in our time entry is actually on our browse gallery. I want to be able to select one of these projects here. So I'm going to go and click on my top item here, and I'm going to add in an icon. And real quickly, I'm just going to I do want a certain icon. I'm just going to add this add here, and I'm going to nestle it over here, this corner. And I really like there's one that kind of represents a person maybe entering time. So over here, I can drop this down, I can do a search. And the one I want to search on, let's see, what was that icon? I think it was, let's see, was it journal? Let's see if journal, there we go. So that log journal, all right? So I'm going to add this log journal in here. All right, so now that I've got this, I want to, on the on select, okay, now that I've added in, let's look at our tables again. On our tables, I've got my project. I'm not really worried about that, but I do have this new employee table that I'm working with, so I've added that. I've also added a project time entry as well. So let's try to figure out what I need to do to grab the employees that's working on this project, because you can think about this. I need to go through that project time entry to get that information. So let's see what we can do. So on select up here, I'm going to back this out. I'm going to do a clear collect. All right. So what this does is this says every time clear out this collection and add in something. And I'm going to give it the name selected project time entries, because I want to get all of the time entries for this selected project. All right, so that's the name of it there. Next, what I want to do is a group by. All right, so I'll say group by. Yep, and I'll use my IntelliSense there, group by. I'm going to do an open paren here. And now what I want to do is filter. So I'm going to say filter, open paren, and I want to filter on my project time entry table, okay? So I'm going to filter that. What am I going to filter? Well, first thing I want to filter is the actual project ID. So in my browse gallery 1, I'll do dot selected, and I'm going to do the project ID here. So I've got my project ID, and I want to do that group by where that filter equals the project ID in the table. All right, so now I'm grouping all of my project time entries, because I can have multiple ones. I'm in here myself, and I could have multiple projects that I've added. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. I'm going to do a comma. So now I'm going to say, what am I going to group that by? I want to group that by the employee ID. All right, and I now need to give that grouping a name, and I'm going to say time grouped by employee. All right, I'm going to give myself a little bit more room here. I'm going to go and close that out. So I've closed out that grouping there. Let's give myself a little bit more real estate here. All right, so and then I can close out our clear collect, and which will hold these records, and now I'm good. All right, so I've gotten all of my project, I've grouped all of my time entry by employee based on the project that I've selected. The next thing I want to do is a for all. So what for all will do is loop through all of these records. So I want to loop through all these selected, call selected time entries here. And I want to, as it's looping through, I know that I'm going to have employees that match this. So I'm going to go ahead and add them to a collection. So I'm going to do a collect. Now what a collect will do is it will just continue to add in records. So I'm going to say, this is the name of it, employees on project. All right. Then I'll do a comma. I'm going to do a lookup here. So I'm going to look up each employee in the employee table. So I'm going to say lookup, and I want to look up in the employee table here, and I want to look up by employee ID right there. All right, where it equals the actual employee ID. All right, so this is going to look up within this collection. It's going to look in the employee table, and it's going to find all the employees that have the employee ID that match in our collection there. So we'll go ahead and say employee ID using my IntelliSense there. So let's close that. All right, that closes our lookup. Let's close our collection, and then we can close our for all. And then do we need one more? I think we're good there. All right, and then the last thing I want to do is navigate. So let's do a navigate. So I want to navigate to our new screen that we have here. So whoops, try this again. Let's say nav. If I can type, I got a new keyboard here. Navigate. There we go. All right, and this will be our screen. Did we not name that screen? I thought we did. Look at my tree view here. Time entry. All right, so I'm going to navigate to time entry. There we go. Take advantage of that IntelliSense. Now, there's one other thing we need to do. If we're going to build out this collection of, so if you look right here, we're doing this collect here, right? If we're going to build this out, we probably want to clear it each time a project is selected. So let's go ahead above all this. Let's put something extra here. Let's do a clear collect, clear collect. We'll do open paren, and we'll do collection. I preface my collection with COL, and this will be our employee on project. And we're going to clear this out, and we'll just say blank just to clear out this collection here. And we'll do our semicolon there as well. All right, and we're going to need to close that out too. All right, so now this is the code. We're going to grab all of our time entry records, and we're going to do a lookup on our employees. And so we'll have our collection of employees who are on this project, okay? Now let's go back to our time entry here. Give me a little bit of real estate here. So we're grabbing the project selected. Let's go ahead and just give this a color here. I'm going to give it like a darker color. If we do that, then we need to, let's change out our text too. I'll make that white. All right, so now let's pull in a gallery up here. So I'll do one of these galleries. I want to do a vertical gallery, and I'm going to drop it right here. And I want this to be my employees. So right now, actually, I'm going to change this because it's not going to be the employees. We're going to add in our employees from the collection that we created. So it's not going to be our employees, but we do have some of our employee fields that have been added. Let's change this around. All I really care about is, here, let me grab this right here. All I care about is just a one title here. And we'll change this out to be, we'll do like a first name, last name. But before we do that, let's just go ahead and grab in our data. So up here on our, where I accidentally hit employees, let's go ahead and we're going to say our collection of employees. Yep, collection of employees on project. So this will be our data set here. All right. And then when we do that, let's go ahead and change this up here. And we'll say employee space. And then we'll concatenate this item dot first name, and then we'll do an ampersand. We'll put a little space in there, close ampersand, and then we'll do this item and we'll do our last name. All right, so now we will get our last name for this. We also, let's see, change this to a lowercase here. All right, so this is our selected employee. There's none in there right now. We haven't done anything yet. Okay, so now that we've got this one, let's just give it a color. I'm not looking for a designer award here, so you just have to bear with me on my color, my design of our little Canvas app here. Let's go ahead and bring in another gallery. Okay, this gallery will show all of the time entry that's been added. Okay, and we'll bring this down here at the bottom. All right, we'll give this another color too. Let's bring this up a little bit. All right, and let's just make this something a little bit different. Let's see. Come on, go away, IntelliSense or tooltip there. All right, so this will be all of our, all of our time for the employee. And now that we've done that, we just want to bring this down to just a title. All right, but we also, before we do that, let's go ahead and set in. Our items for this gallery up here. Okay, so we will say this will be. We want to go ahead and do a sort, and we're going to do a filter, and this is going to be on our. So we're going to say filter on our project time entry. All right, so we'll look at our project time entry. This is what we're going to filter on, and we're going to do it by our project ID. All right, and this project ID is going to equal our browse gallery. So we want to do the selected. Yep, we'll do the project ID. Oh. All right, so this will be our project ID. We also want to do a filter on our employee. So we're going to do our employee ID, where that equals our gallery. So let's grab this gallery right here. This is our gallery 3. Okay. So this will be our gallery 3, and this will be dot selected dot employee ID. All right. Let's make sure we're doing this right here. All right, so let me look at this sort here. All right, so we're going to sort, filter. Oh, I see what I did wrong here. Whoops. There we go. So we're going to do the filter on our project time entry there. We're going to look on our project ID and also our employee ID. And then we're going to bring those in. We're going to bring those into our gallery here, and we're also doing that sort, right? So let's do a sort by report date, okay? And we'll close that out, and now we're looking pretty good. And we've got this right here, the sample heading. Let's go ahead and change this. We'll say we'll just put in some hours here because we will have the project selected, and we'll have the person who put in the hours. So I just want to see what the hours are. So we'll say this item dot hours. All right, and we'll also do a entered on, and we'll concatenate that in as well. We'll say this item and do the report date as well. All right, so that looks good. Now let's see if we can run this real quick. I'm gonna go back to because I don't have a button to go back here. I guess I add one, but I'm gonna click on our browse screen here, and I'm just gonna hit my Alt key down, and I'm gonna select Bear's project. And you can see now that we've got Bear White. And if I were to then select on Bear, well, it's actually pulling in my records. So let's go to another project here. Actually, let's verify that for Bear's project. All right, so we'll look at our data here real quick. And let's see, is this our project here? Yeah, so Bear's project is 25. And 25 should have hours entered for, looks like 4, 1, 3, and 8. Let's see if that's what we've got. 4, 1, 3, and 8. And they're ordered, but they're just ordered by date. So we are pulling in the right information. All right, so this is pretty cool. Let's try something else here. Let's go back over to our screen again, and let's do a really big project. Let's do the Spanish translation. So I'm gonna select that. All right. Oh no, this is horrible. What is going on? I've got bear in here multiple times, and if I go to my data, I know that my Spanish, let's go back to our Spanish here. Our Spanish translation is 11, all right? So here's 11. If you can't see it, just trust me on it. And I've got a whole bunch of records. I know that Devin has done Spanish, Brian has done Spanish. Here's a couple of 11s here. I also see where I've got a Spanish one in here. Something is going on. It's a little bit weird. Well, typically when we set up our tables, we'll set up our foreign keys, and let's look at how this foreign key was set up. I've got an employee table that's got an employee ID. Okay, that looks good. So let me look at I'll keep it open too. And I've got another, our project time entry. I've set a foreign key to this employee ID. Okay, that should work. What's going on? All right, let's go back to our Canvas app here, and it's got to be something where we're setting up our collections. So I'm going to select this right here. Something else that's nice. I'm going to go ahead and say format text. This kind of makes things a little bit nicer as to what's going on. Now I actually know what the problem is, but there's different things you can do for looking at this data. If you want, you can click on it. You can see that we've got 3 different employee IDs, 3, 2, and 1. And honestly, in the table, I've only got 3 employees, but I'm getting my name all 3 times. So what could be going on? Well, I'm going to tell you what's going on. In this for all here, when it's looping through these records, it's looping through, and it's then doing a collection, and it's adding the collection when it does this lookup. And on this lookup, it's saying, okay, within this collection, employees on project, I want you to do a lookup on the employee ID. Well, it's getting confused when it's doing the for all for this collection too. So I'm going to show you how to fix this. I don't like this way of fixing it, but this will work. So let's go back to our database here, and I'm just going to rename this. So I'm going to right click, I'm going to say rename, and I'm going to make this D a capital here, all right? And I'm gonna hit enter. And we have renamed the project time entry. We've renamed this with a capital D, all right? Now let's go back to our app. We're gonna have to do a couple of things here. So let's shut this down just for a second. Let's go to our data, and in our project time entry, I'm going to remove it. All right, then I'm going to add it right back in because I want it to add in with so I'm going to go to my connectors, and I've got my SQL Server connector here, and I'm going to grab my time card, and I'm going to grab my project time entry, and we're going to get a couple of hiccups here, which is great. All right, so now we're seeing some problems. Let's see what our problems are. All right, so it's not registering yet. Let's click this. Let's go to edit and formula bar, see if it gives us some issues. All right, now this looks a little bit better. All right, so when I'm doing this filter, obviously when I'm filtering on my project time entry, it no longer knows employee with a lowercase d. All right, so that fixed that. And it doesn't really matter which one you do. You just got to figure out one of them. And so we will now, if I leave the D here, let's see if it clears up. It should not. Let's see. All right, looks like it cleared up. So let's get this. Let's see what happens now. So I want to select, go down to our Spanish translation, and I want to see that again. Still getting bare, so it didn't fix the problem, even though it looks like it might be fixed. Let's see here. What's this area here? Okay, this is something different. All right, so let's go back to our browse gallery here, and let's select our icon again, and let's change out our one of these right here. I'll just select this one. I'm going to change this to the D. Now our for all should recognize this. Okay, let's collapse this. That's the only change I've made. I'm going to hit my Alt key down, and I'm going to go ahead and select Spanish translation, and boom, I'm now getting the 3 people that are on this particular project. So you can see at this point now I should be able to select Bear White. It looks like, and we got a little bit of problems here. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, so we've got the same thing on our project time entry. Okay, let's change that. And now if I select, okay, now I can see the time entered. So this is a really cool way on how to handle your many-to-many relationships when you're working with SQL Server. This is a really quick way on how to do that. Obviously, if you've got a bunch of records, it's going to cause a little bit of a delay, maybe just kind of querying, because we are doing that lookup for each record. But this is a really cool solution for handling it. Hope you've enjoyed this video. I'll start making some more with little gotchas like this, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you very much.